Bonjour! This is Pierre from Savoir, Faire, and here we are. I'm so happy to be here in Florida, sort of. I'm actually in California, but for the day we'll say I'm in Florida, and to be in that virtual convention. I love the Florida Watercolor Society. I come there every year, and I miss you so much. So I'm so glad that I'm able to be with you today. So I hope you're having a fun and a good convention. So anyways, today I wanted to talk to you. I have the Fabriano hat. As you know, Savoir Faire, we have different product, like Fabriano paper, Sennelier watercolor, Isabelle brushes, Raphael brushes, and all that. But today, I'm here to tell you about Fabriano. So first of all, where the art of paper making began. It began in 1264 in Fabriano. Fabriano, it's a village in the center of Italy, not far from Ancona. And what happened in 1264, it was actually some crusaders from Italy who actually captured some prisoners, and some of those prisoners were Arabs who had stolen the secret of paper from China. They traveled all the way to the Middle East, and then the crusaders picked some up with the secret of paper, and then arrived in Italy, in Ancona, and then went to the mountain and started making paper. 1264, Middle Ages, and then what happened, it started, you can imagine it's like the Silicon Valley of the Middle Age. All of a sudden, they started making paper, and it changed the world. You can imagine all what the world have to offer. All that paper have to offer to the world, between love letters, trade, religious, politics, art. Since then, art has become much easier accessible to everybody. And let me tell you what happened. So then on Ancona, they climbed the mountain, and they were looking for the best area to make the paper. You need a river, clean water. You need a certain altitude, so it's not too hot, not too cold either. And it was and having nearby access to fibers, and you'll see about sizing. So first of all, in 1264, there's three inventions that are essential to understand. One is they developed a hammermeal, hydraulic hammermeal, and they learned that from the people who were spinning the wool, because around there was a lot of wool production, and they transformed that hydraulic mill to make a hammermeal to beat the fabric, the rags, with which you can make paper. Okay, rag crushed, hydraulic hammermeal. It changed the world. At some point, it changed the world that no one else who were trying to understand how to make paper that arrived from different places. The paper at Fabriano was so much better because the fiber were properly prepared to make paper. Number one. Number two, the watermark. The first watermark. Why watermark? What's so special? That's where it was invented. And the watermark is essential because what happened, because in Fabriano, they knew how to make paper better than anywhere else. Later, when in other parts, they were also making paper, they were trying to make copy of the Fabriano paper. So that's when they thought, aha, we have to have a sign of distinction. And that's why watermark was invented at Fabriano to distinguish them of being the real Fabriano paper. And each maker, each craftsman had their own signs. So that's second innovation. The third invention, more than invention, is the sizing. Something happened because in Fabriano there was people making wool, but there was also a lot of tannery, leather. And they noticed that when they were tanning the leather, you had that residue called sort of a gelatin. And they had this idea to use that to put on the surface of the paper in order to be preserved, in order to be able to use wet medium. And that invention have allowed the future, the artists to be able to use wet medium on paper. And that was the future. And to some extent, we can say Fabriano invented watercolor paper because no one else knew. And in fact, we have letters from Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. We just learned today that Raffaello just had the confirmation that Raphael was using Fabriano paper. So all those artists, started using Fabriano paper, and those paper are still, you can still see them at the Louvre, at the Met in New York, at the MoMA. These are 700, 500, 600 years old, and the paper is still perfect. So now, here we go. I want to tell you, this is the surprise. Surprise! And now what are we doing this year? We have Artistico 2.0. This is very special. Artistico is the mold-made paper of Fabriano to make watercolor paper. When you make paper, you have three ways. You have handmade, mold-made, and machine-made. Handmade, it's our exportation, but it's very expensive and difficult to make. Mold-made is the mechanical way to make handmade paper. Machine-made is like for newspaper, newsprint, and all that. So in the mold-made paper, it's Artistico. So now you have Artistico 2.0 because in the next months, you're gonna see the new Artistico. We've made some improvements, some enhancement. Now we've decided to bring back the four deckled edge. We have reworked the watermark, in order to be present, seeing, but not overwhelming. And most important, we've improved again the sizing. The sizing now is 100% vegetal. It's based off potatoes and other vegetable, and it's great. It works just a perfect absorption. So it stays on the surface when you apply your watercolor to show you the bright colors. But it absorbs a little bit in order to be archival and to sink in the paper to give the depth of your painting. So this is a remarkable improvement, and it's vegan, no animal byproduct, totally vegan, archival, 100% cotton, acid-free, lignin-free, bleach-free, chemical-free, animal-free. It is pure paper, and plus we use the river for hydropower, so there's not much carbon print on that. So this is coming up. So look for Artistico, the new Artistico 2.0. Please try it. You'll love it. On that note, it will inspire to go paint. Yes, woo! I hope you thought it was interesting. I'll be here to answer your question. So please go at it. I love you. Thank you, and go paint.